Hi Darren, thanks for meeting us today. So I was wondering, for the people that don't know anything about Aikido, if you could explain to us a little bit about what Aikido is.
Okay, so Aikido is a martial art originally devised from Jiu-Jitsu roots, weapons roots, and various martial arts forms in Japan, put together by a guy called Muller. He took a selection of techniques that work from these various arts, put them together into an art form specifically so he could work a quality known as Aiki within these techniques.
Okay.
So I guess it differs a little from other arts in that it's specifically looking to practice with an idea of creating an Aiki body. Now I've used the term Aiki twice, so when I say Aiki, I'm looking at trying to manipulate yin and yang forces within the body to create and manipulate power.
Okay.
So in short, it's a martial art that came together from a mix of other arts with techniques specifically chosen for this purpose.
Okay, fine. I heard you earlier mention Danjian.
Yeah.
Danjian, and you've just mentioned Yin and Yang, which would be Chinese concepts, right?
Yeah.
So is there a Chinese influence in Aikido?
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
I think the journey of the arts came from China through Japan, probably from India to China first of all. O-sensei was infamous for invading Mongolia with about 6 other people, so he's definitely has a Chinese connection. I would say sort of initially I think the roots of Aikido are in as much Chinese as they are Japanese. Just go back far enough. I think Aikido, Aiki, is almost the same as Tai Chi. It doesn't just say the same. So historically, I see a very close connection. Right now, within my own practice, the last 5 years or so, I've been exposed to quite a bit of the Chinese arts and practitioners of those arts. And those guys seem to be doing the same stuff as us. They have much sexier names. They have a different training system, but the concept of what they're trying to train for me seems to be the same stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And we are. I see us as one big martial arts family. Really, I don't really see a great deal of difference.
Yeah. So that neatly brings me on to my next question. So when Shiba died, there was a bit of a split in Aikido, and different people went off and did different things. So you got the Ki Aikido guys, you've got the Tamiki competition guys, and the traditional Aikido guys. Can you maybe elaborate on the difference of them, but more so on what you're doing in your class?
Sure. Okay. So let's go through the different groups. So the Ki Aikido groups, they came from a guy called Tohei, who was probably, if not O-sensei's best student, certainly one of his very best. When O-sensei died, I don't really know, I wasn't there, I don't know the politics of it, but he did, his focus seemed to be on the key qualities of Aikido, not a great strength of mine, certainly not my background. So he turned his training model on its head. You'll see Ki Aikido people, they'll work with key exercises, they'll work with lots and lots of different push tests, this kind of stuff. And they start their training journey very much on a key basis, and in time they move towards a more martial form. Traditional arts, traditional Aikido, if you like, that the other way around. That starts very much with techniques, and the techniques are all lifted from Jiu-Jitsu and other arts. So you can practice them in a Jiu-Jitsu way, and over time, as your skills develop, you can overlay more and more Aikido on top of it. So those guys start at the other end of the spectrum, which is where I come from, and in time we work towards the key exercises, or the manifesting Aiki within our practice.
Yeah.
Does that
a bit more like the natural progression of how she was taught it, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. So Shiva's roots were quite eclectic, but certainly Daikaru featured heavily in Aikijitsu. Right now we're starting to bump into guys that teach that. I've had exposure the last 3 or 4 years with guys that are Daikaru people, and it's great stuff, and it really helps in an understanding of Aikido, where it came from. You mentioned other things. You mentioned Yoshinkan Aikido, which is Gozen Shioda. That's quite a hard style, reputedly so. It's quite linear, and I think it was devised because they had such large numbers of people wanting to train it. They did everything almost in robotic fashion. And it worked for them. So they still persist with that training style to perfection. It's quite famous because it's taught by the Tokyo Riot Police, and there's a book, Angry White Pajamas, which is quite a famous Aikido book about it. It's still Aikido, it's still fine, it's what it is. And the sport form, Tamiki Aikido, again, I've dabbled in it, but it's not really my art, so I can't say too much about it. I don't it's not something that I know enough to talk about, really.
And there's not much in this area, is there?
No,
it's
yeah.
I don't know of any.
There was a time that I saw the guys came here a couple of years ago. It's difficult to get a club off the ground, so especially in an area where there's some great competition. There's a lot of martial arts in Bristol, lots of people doing stuff, and I don't think it came to anything. I think it died. But there's not a lot right in this area.
Brilliant. Right, next question is a brief explanation of how you got into martial arts and then eventually your now chosen art. Would you say your chosen art?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
So I got into martial arts through luck, really.
Okay.
I'd always have fights, and I wrestled at school and did a bit of boxing. My dad was a big boxing fan, ex-army, and that obviously, as growing up as a child, that kind of rubbed off on me. I had a bundle of scrapes when I was younger. I am the way I am. So that probably meant I had more than my fair share of scrapes. So I was kind of interested in it. When I was in my late teens and 20s, I played football, and I was a traditional dirty fullback, and I like that physical side of stuff. But, fullback I was all right. So as I started to get a bit old for football, I was looking for something else to do, and I just happened to start working in a company in Bristol, and two of the guys were Aikido instructors. One of them is my training partner now, and that's been for a lot of years. And he was my drinking buddy. He just said, I'm doing this stuff, come and have a look. Yeah. I went to have a look, and I said, I'm not doing that. You were holding each other's wrist. It doesn't work. I don't like it. I want to punch people. Yeah. And I walked away for 6 months. 6 months later, I went around. That was on a Monday. By the time Thursday came around, I'd done 4 nights, and I was totally hooked, and I absolutely loved it. And so for me, Aikido was brilliant. It seemed, as a fairly junior person doing it, I didn't understand what it was about. I certainly didn't understand why there wasn't that many kicks and punches in it. So I went off to do jiu-jitsu. Trained with Kevin O'Hagan in Bristol for 8 years. I went for a few weeks to see what it was about. 8 years later, I was still there, and I might have still been there now if I hadn't got an injury.
Right. Yeah.
But, teaching and training, and you just sometimes the commitment's too much. My daughter was born, and I just didn't have time to keep going with it.
Right. Yeah.
So that was that. I guess what happened to really set going on the teaching path was Templegate had a massive dojo in town where I trained. the guys that were senior to me weren't stopped being senior to me. They either weren't there, or they moved off, or they weren't training. I was senior guy there. I was used to coaching. I was used to leading groups of people through football training. I'd been a manager. I'd been a coach and taking training. So I picked up and ran with it. Really liked it, and I really liked the people in Aikido, the diversity, because there's, you know, we're not all cage fighters. We're not all real physical boxer types. Anybody can do this and find a level and train and get better, you know. And that's really what it's all about, training and getting better.
Brilliant. So, I mean, earlier you motioned towards your arm.
Yeah.
You've got a bit of your arm missing.
Yeah.
So how did you, I mean, of course you would have had to adapt the Aikido in its standard form to suit yourself, as everyone does, in a sense. Everyone's got to adapt to that. But how have you had to work with that? Because, I mean, if people are saying, right, we're doing right grabs and then we're doing left grabs, how do you work with that? But maybe not so much on that sort of very kind of single point, but more on kind of bigger scale.
So what it's done for me is you know, it's opened me up to the fact that everybody's different.
Yeah.
Every single person has something that they're not good at, that they're not great at. There's something to learn. So I guess it gives me a real good affinity for helping other people. As an Aikido instructor, what it meant was, when you know, some of the techniques are pretty complicated. And you know, there's a lot of grabbing and grasping and touching. When I watched stuff as a beginner, I had to watch the form that everybody else was doing, but then I also had to understand it, so I could work out how I was going to do it. So it meant that, you know, whereas maybe somebody else could watch it and think, oh, I'll move here, move there, and just copy. I didn't have that choice. I had to really understand it quite quickly, and I think it's because of that, it's pushed me to understand it, and probably made me a better instructor than I would have been otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, you know, however good someone is, they're not necessarily a good teacher, right?
Absolutely, it's got nothing to do with it.
Work through it, like
I don't see myself as God's gift to Aikido. I might have when I was younger, but you know, there's the more you expand. And interesting, this is something my instructor, my Aikido instructor, Mike Mary, said to me. He said, the better you are as a teacher, the harder it is, because your club attracts better quality people. Because people hear about it, you know, and it kind of pushes you to get better. And absolutely true. You know, I've got you've met a couple of guys today that you've met from other arts and other places. They've come here. They can see we've got something to offer. You know, we're pulling people into the mats that have been off the mats for 10 years. People are coming back because we've got something interesting to show. So yeah.
Is that interesting? Like teaching people who've got a background in other arts, or do you like having more beginners?
Sometimes it's easier to have a raw beginner because they may well do. They may be easier to manipulate and lead us in a certain way. But as a teacher, if I've got someone that comes to my mat that's trained with somebody else at a high level, and they come on and they've got some skills that, and they can share them skills. I'm interested in picking up what they've got to offer. B, you know, if they think that what we've got to offer is interesting and relevant and useful, you know, that's a massive endorsement for us. So, you know, I'm quite grateful really when that happens. You know, I've met some good people who in their own art would knock me all over the place, and they've come along and they've trained and they've put a real effort to learn what we've got to offer, and they've been brilliant. So you know, it's for me. It's quite nice when that happens.
Yeah, I understand. In terms of your club here, can you tell us a bit about the club, like the North Bristol Aikido school? Like,
Yeah. Okay. So we're as a group, we're an offshoot of the Templegate Dojo, which is where I taught for a lot of years.
Still affiliated with them?
Still affiliated with them. Mike Neri is still my instructor. I wanted to start something. I wanted to stretch my wings, and I just felt this was such a good area for a dojo. Yeah. We'd lost to one of the dojos from our federation as someone had moved off and were doing their own thing. I want some politics. It was a different training direction, and I felt, well, Templegate was up and thriving at the time, and I thought, well, I want to do something else on top of that. Yeah. And I thought this would be a great place to do it. I came here and they said, oh, we've had Aikido here before. The guy had 2 students and it never worked. and we've been here.
And that's even more of a challenge.
Well,
right?
Absolutely. So we came here, and yeah, we started up and we started to grow. As I've been here, I've, as I said, I've attracted people from elsewhere. Some of the guys from Templegate followed me. So we've grown now. We've got weapons classes, kids classes, which has been I've never taught kids classes, and it's absolutely fantastic. I'm so proud of the kids classes, and sort of the I guess the you asked me about the Chinese influence earlier on. We've been training with a guy. I'm not going to name drop. We trained with a guy for 5 years.
You can name drop, it's fine.
Well, I've been training with a guy called Dan Harden, who's basically I call him a body worker. So he's an American wrestling, boxing, all-round mixed martial arts type guy. He's basically providing a martial arts training that will fit with any art, pretty much. If based around people that are looking for the internal stuff for Aiki, and he's a kind of a world leader. We met him 5 years ago. Great, hasn't changed my Aikido in terms of my affiliations. I'm still Mike Neri's student. It's given me a far greater insight into what people have been trying to teach me, and what Aikido is about, and I think what O-Sensei was trying to do. That has been, kind of a defining moment in my Aikido. It was about 5 years ago. The last 5 years, I had to accept that. There was a massive gap in my knowledge. I've been trying to address that gap for 5 years and making some headway into it. This place I've got a good team of guys around me. Which you asked about, kind of mentioned about not about how he sees himself as a martial artist, but whereas I might not see myself as God's gift to Aikido, I think my strength is working with a team of people. My day job is I'm a manager. I have a number of people. We're IT people, so we don't necessarily make anything, but we do have skills that we deploy and use on projects. So for me, this is almost like an ongoing project. Working with the guys, I've got students now that are better than me at certain elements of Aiki. And it's great. That's what it's about, getting someone to stand on your shoulders and working with those guys. Those high achievers, keep working with them, and the club will carry on developing and growing from strength to strength.
So then it becomes more coaching than teaching.
Absolutely, it fits totally with I'm a coach with a BAB. I'm not what they call class level 2 coach. Haven't had time to push on and become a principal coach, but that might be on the horizons. Everything that I read and cover as a coach, I get the same training at work as a manager. It's how to work with people, how to get the best out of people, whether they're a high achiever, whether they're a low achiever, whether they've got confidence, whether they lack confidence, strengths and weakness, understanding people. I think that's probably where my strengths are, organising something rather than being someone fantastic that stands there and says, "Oh, what an amazing guy." That's not my life. That's not my destiny. You already said I'm quite short, so yeah, that's probably why.
You throw a few insults in there.
Yeah.
So just last kind of 2 questions, but it kind of merges into one. So if I came to a club as a beginner, friend Dave who's come today.
Yeah.
So what is Dave going to get today? What can he expect? We're walking fresh. Haven't seen it before. What can I get? And then can you give us the details of your club? So then we've got it for the video, and I'll post them up as text.
So Mr. Tonight's beginning. First of all, he'll get to meet a new group of people that won't hurt him. They'll look after him. They'll make sure he's safe, and they'll make sure he's included.
Yeah.
So those are like the hygiene factors. He'll be looked after. Safety. We won't pressure him too much. We won't see what he's. We won't see what he's made of by punching him in the ear.
Yeah.
You know, we'll try to give him a flavour for our system. We'll try to give him an idea of how we start, so we'll be doing basic kind of work. But we'll also try to give him an idea of the long-term goal.
Yeah.
You know, usually I sign people out. If they've done nothing, then there's no point talking up here. It won't mean anything to them.
Yeah.
But if they've done another one and they've got some kind of concept of what they're looking for, then I'll explain how we can meet that.
Yeah.
What we do to provide that. And usually, people that have made the effort to come along have done a bit of research, and they kind of have an idea of what they want anyway.
Yeah.
So you know, I kind of show how we can fit that expectation, and we have a dialogue. You know, sometimes it's not about what you tell somebody; it's about listening to what they want, and then you can turn that around. That's the consultancy person. That's what we do at work.
And then I suppose see if there's a fit. See if it fits for what they want.
Absolutely.
Like if someone came in and said, "Oh, I want to fight," would you go, "Yeah, we can teach you that"?
Probably not. I'd say this is not what we do. This is what we're about. This is where our training's going. It's useful. It's very useful. And looking after yourself. The most powerful people. I train with some great people, but the most powerful person I train with is an Aikido person, without question.
Right.
And so Aikido has got something to offer in that direction. But we've got a bit more to our portfolio than just beating someone up. And I want people to understand that. I've had to explain that once or twice.
And your club details.
So I've got them all written down. Do you want me to?
Yeah, reel them off if you know them, and then they're on there, and then go on. You've got to do it from memory,
So the easiest bit. Our website is beanad.org.
Okay.
That's really easy. I can remember that.
Yeah.
My phone number
Put it along the bottom.
Yeah. My phone number is 07941 257 940.
Okay.
And I think that's probably we've got a Bristol North Aikido Dojo website. We've got that. We've also got a Facebook page, Bristol North Aikido Dojo. People can hook up with us on that.
Okay.
And we're happy for anyone to come along.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks for meeting us.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Not too bad.
Let's get it.